Hello, hello, this is Patty Jo. It's time to get started with the next witness on day 3. At least I think we're still on day 3. Lord have mercy, these are long days. These poor jurors, oh my gosh. So grab your coffee or mocha drink or whatever fancy stuff you drink and let's go.
Your next witness, please.
Oops.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay, I don't have anything else for this witness. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
I don't think that was me doing that. Maybe it was. Who knows? Who knows?
Your next witness, please.
Your Honor, the state calls Kyle Jewell.
Kyle Jewell.
Good afternoon, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right, upper riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Kyle Jewell, Kylejewell.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Jewell.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Jewell, on the day of November 21, 2021, did you attend the WAUKESHA Christmas parade in downtown Waukesha?
Yes.
Did you come with friends and family members?
Yes, with family.
About how many people were in your group, sir?
Probably 7 or 9. I would have to count them
That's
to really
okay.
get the accurate number.
Okay. And where did you set up along the parade route to watch the festivities?
Yeah, so we were right in between those new apartments and Olo Chocolate. I don't know what road it was next to.
Okay. And then, so you were right on Main Street, correct?
Yeah.
And new apartments are like 4 or 5 stories high, is that right?
Yep, right
Okay.
next to Olo Chocolate.
Okay, and on the north side of the road, that would be?
Correct.
Okay. As you were sitting there, what do you recall happening, sir?
Yeah, so we were watching the parade. Had a bunch of kids in front of us, my kids, some other family members, and at one point, you know, we had I believe it was the Remax hot air balloon truck coming to the left of us, and then we start hearing just some people yelling, "Stop that car!" And the next thing you know, from my left, going down the road, you see a red SUV just go straight through the parade. And where we were sitting at that time was the WAUKESHA South Band, and just drove right through WAUKESHA South Band and just continued going.
Did you see any people being struck by the SUV?
Yes.
Did you see any objects flying in the air?
I didn't see any objects flying in the air. I saw the red SUV going over people.
Okay, can you describe that?
Let us stop to remember how devastating that is to the people who were injured. But look in this man's eyes. I don't know what he does for a living. I don't know. He just looks like a nice guy, nice young guy. And he watched Darrell do this. Now, okay, so this so far is people seeing him go into the route, several people watching, and videos. This is like maybe the third, I think, person who saw the first couple of people get hit. we haven't even gotten to the people who witnessed the people get hit with injuries that cause death. But this is like the third eyewitness. There's at least 2 to 3 videos of that they haven't shown on the screen to us of him running over the people. But this is at least the second witness that has said it on the stand. At least.
Please.
Yeah, so the van had just passed us, red SUV, going, again, this is just an estimate, maybe 30, 40 miles an hour, just went straight over the Waukesha South Span, and it's not like it stopped. I mean, it went over. I saw the red SUV, it looked like it went in the air, like over a pretty big object, and it just was like a big old speed bump and kept going.
Okay.
This is going to be a rough one to get through, isn't it? Okay, I just need to go on.
You saw that from your position on the side of the road?
Yes.
At some point, did you get up and leave your position?
I did. So when the red SUV had pretty much gone through the band, my reaction was to run after the car and honestly was trying to get into it to stop it. That was just my perspective on it.
Okay.
I didn't.
Again, he's not even making judgment of what this guy's doing. He's just trying to stop the problem, which is the driver, Darrell. Please say nothing to this man, please.
Get into the SUV.
Please say
Were you
nothing.
able to catch it?
No. It drove off at a pretty quick speed after it went through the band.
And you were running on foot?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so let's review trauma in humans. First of all, he's estimating different from the lady who estimated at 20. He's estimating 30 to 40. But let me promise you, when you're within the trauma, and witnessing something is definitely within the trauma, time and objects appear different. I will say the last thing I remember, I keep going back to my own assault, I don't mean to, but the last thing I do remember is my radio was hanging off of our new lapel mics, and it was hanging and swinging from my lapel, basically, from my shirt. And it's swinging. And what I could see is this big donut of blurriness and my radio in the middle of it, just swinging back and forth. I know that couldn't have taken more than a second, but it felt like forever. So how would I estimate a car moving if I'm thinking everything is either super fast or super slow, depending on what my brain does to it? That's kind of where I wanted to go with that. So the estimation of the time and responses and reactions are fight, flight, freeze. That's what they are. People forget freeze, but they're freeze. Freeze counts.
Prior to the SUV hitting the students in the band, did you hear the horn on the vehicle honking at all?
I did not.
No, of course not.
As the vehicle struck students in the band, did you ever see the vehicle stop?
I did not. It would have slowed down a little bit as it hit people, but it did not slow down when it hit the band and then when it drove off.
Okay. I'd like to put up exhibit number 25, please, for the witness. Go ahead.
25.
And is there anything on your screen in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Is this 25? Okay. And you see the video that's showing on your screen in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Is this a video that you've seen before?
Yes, it is.
And do you believe this is a true and accurate representation of the events as you saw them on November 21 of 2021?
Yes.
I'd like to admit number 25 and permission to play it for the jury?
Mr. Brooks?
Objection is hearsay. How is everybody seeing the videos before seeing them now?
You can ask that on cross-exam, sir.
That doesn't make it
But the
hearsay.
foundation has been laid, and Exhibit 25 is received. Permission.
How can a career criminal, somebody who's had multiple multi-month sentences that we learn about later, be so clueless about discovery and processes? And I mean, my son was in trouble a couple of times, and it was a crisis in our family, I'm not going to lie. And he certainly knows more than I do. But he is clear. When he gets stopped, he knows exactly what the deal is and what he needs to do. It's not, if he does something wrong and he knows. Darrell, in some ways, you're so stupid.
To publish is granted.
All right, we're going to put it up, and then before we play anything, I'd ask if you could point out for the jury the approximate area where you and your family were stationed.
How do you want me to do that?
That's a touch screen in front of you. That's a good question.
Oh.
You can either circle or mark with an X, or there's a dot you can put there, whatever.
Yeah.
Just the general area where you were standing.
Somewhere over here.
Okay. And you remember seeing the parade approaching then from your left?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the band, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's
go ahead
headed
and
southbound. Or
with volume, please.
Main Street kind of goes at an angle, doesn't it?
Pause. Okay, we paused at the 41-second mark. When do you first recall seeing that red SUV? Was it about this point, or was it back further?
Pretty much right when it rounded the Remax van.
Okay. And then do you remember seeing it come around the left side of the Remax van and then veer to the right in front of the Remax van?
Yes.
And now it's headed in the direction of where you and your family are?
Correct.
Do you remember that, sir?
Yes.
What were you thinking during this?
Really what's going on. Normally you don't see a vehicle going that quick down a parade route.
Okay. Go ahead and continue playing, please.
Which is why he's estimating fast for the speed. Okay, so that's why he's estimating quicker than the other person for the speed. Plus, Darrell probably sped up as he hit that first person, trying to get away from yet his last crime. This I see as a series of crimes. This is not one, this is crime after crime after crime that he's deciding to do. Listen to them. Oh my God. How can he watch himself do that? Oh.
Okay, I'm
Monster.
going to ask, we're going to play it again a little bit slower, and I want you to point out the point where you yourself get up and run after the red SUV, okay?
Okay.
Before you have him do that, for the record, how long is this video?
Thank you, Judge. The video is exactly 1 minute in duration.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So play it at half speed, please. No sound, because with half speed the sound is
Distorted.
annoying.
And plus it's all screams at that point. Lord. Ugh. decent formation. Good job, guys. This looks like a person's video, I guess, from their apartment. I guess that's what the... Oh, how do you even live with that? Oh my God. Okay. So that's him running over the lady.
You can pause it right there.
Okay, we're paused at the 48-second mark. You see yourself, sir?
I do.
Where are you?
You want me to circle
Circle it. You've just run out into the middle of the street, is that right? Or towards the middle of the street?
Yes.
Where were you going?
Chasing after the car.
What were you going to do if you caught it?
Wanted to stop it.
Try and stop it.
Yep.
With your hands.
You described on your direct testimony the seeing the car look like it was going over speed bumps, is that right?
Yes.
Is that what's shown in this exhibit number 25?
Yes.
In fact, it was going over people, not speed bumps.
Correct. Yes.
Keep playing, I want to see where you go.
Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. He feels guilty. He shouldn't. He's a hero.
And we played it to the end just for the record. You never were able to catch up,
No.
but towards the end of that video, you're off screen. We can't see you anymore.
Yes.
About how far down did you chase that SUV, sir?
It had to have been pretty far down the road. I don't have an exact that I can remember, but I ran for a pretty good amount of time. It wasn't quite to the 5 corners.
Okay.
Wow,
but
that's
it
a
was
couple of
pretty
blocks.
good distance.
And
So that's a few blocks that he ran. He's a hero. This is a hero. This is a hero. Darrell's a zero.
any point along the way did you notice the SUV stop?
I did not, no.
Did you see the driver of the SUV get out and check on any of the people that he had just run over?
No.
Did you get a good look at the driver?
I didn't get a good look at the driver, no.
Okay.
That I can remember.
Sure. After you chased the SUV but were not able to catch it, did you make your way back towards your family?
I did.
Did you encounter injured people along the way?
Yes, many of them.
And were they mostly from the school band or others?
Mainly from the South's band.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have any other questions, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions?
Yes, I
Here
do.
we go. Buckle up. Yes, I do.
Do you recall being interviewed by a Detective Carpenter on November 24th of 2021?
I do remember being interviewed by a detective, yes.
Darrell, I think we all want to say this to you. You are so stupid. Okay? Your only questions that even approach, that even go in the direction, the general direction of being valid, are from these reports that they gave, statements, whatever, that they gave a year ago in a traumatic situation. And your only defense at that point is to discredit what they said. A little detail here, a little detail there. Whereas we all know as reasonable people that everybody's going to have a different point of view, so they're going to see different details. They're going to interpret them differently based on the traumatic events that are unfolding in front of them and their own person. That is exactly what's going to happen. My view of what happened to me is very different than my partner's view of what happened to her. And my view of what happened to her is different from her view of what happened to her. Very different. They did not know until I was able to express it. That being said, you do zero preparation, Darrell, and you have zero idea of what a defense would be. Did I cover everything, guys? Let me know if I didn't.
Any idea why it took a few days for you to be interviewed?
Because he wasn't hurt, injured, because
Just
there
the
were
nature
thousands.
of the incident. I'm sure they had a lot to get through. So I just wanted to wait a little bit, and it wasn't something that I was going to do.
Oh, God.
When you say it wasn't something that you was going to do,
That you was going to do.
Just seek some counsel from some mentors. After talking with them, they had advised that I should make a statement.
So it would be fair to say that you didn't intend on making a report.
That is correct.
Can you explain why?
Just didn't feel comfortable with it.
Would it be fair to say that the events that you witnessed would make anyone want to make a report? Would that be fair to say?
No!
Yes.
But not him. Not him.
Do you recall?
Would you have made a report, Darrell? How many crimes have you seen? I mean, I'm pretty sure people who commit crimes see many more crimes than a regular person ever sees. I remember the first crime that I actually saw with my own two eyes. I was coming out of a women's only gym. I was about 16 years old, and in that little strip mall there was a camping store, and they had some of their stuff displayed outdoors or close to the door or somewhere in the vicinity of these little open doors. And somebody grabbed something, ran into their car, and then sped away. And in the process, I was able to get the license plate number, or as Darrell calls it, the license plate number. The license plate. Stupid. Oh my God. Okay. So in a frenzy, I'm shaking. The adrenaline is coursing through my veins in lieu of blood, I'm sure. I run back into the gym. I write down the license plate number, or the license plate number, and I tell them that they need to call the police, that the store next door just was there was some sort of stealing happening there. And I didn't know whether the guy had a weapon or not. I was too far away. But definitely, people who commit crimes see many more of those. So tell me, Darrell, would you have reported it? Would you?
About what time you arrived at the parade?
I do not.
Do you recall what time you left?
I do not.
You stated earlier that you were with family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you or any of your family members injured in the incident?
No.
I'm looking at the police report here. You did state that you didn't get a description of the driver, correct?
Yes.
Did you get a license plate number?
I did not.
There's no such thing as a license plate.
Do you recall if there was any tint on the vehicle that you saw?
Not in the front, no.
What do you mean by not in the front?
I did not see any tint on the front windows or the passenger side window. From what I could remember, there was tint on the back windows.
So it would be fair to say that you couldn't see into the back of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall how many occupants were in the vehicle?
Yes.
Good answer.
Even though you couldn't see the entire inside of the vehicle?
Yes.
He's a good one. Good one. Go, Kyle. I don't remember your last name.
Do you
Go.
recall saying in your report that, or saying in the report that was reported by Detective Carpenter, that, well, I'm going to read it what it says. He indicated that after the vehicle struck the south bend, he chased it and got to within approximately an arm's reach of the vehicle. Do you recall that?
I do not.
Any reason why that would be reported?
I'm going to go back to what I said about my own assault. During the assault, what I could see around me and what I saw happening, there are filters your brain puts on it. I don't know, for focus. I don't know what the purpose of it is. I'm not a brain specialist. But I remember being slammed into a wall, slammed into the pillar, punched several times. And as my radio is spinning, I remember seeing the blurriness around it and thinking, is this how it ended? I thought I was going to die. So his running is his brain's response to the trauma. His adrenaline is flowing. He sees this terrible thing. He starts running and reaching. And what he wants to do and what he's actually doing is probably merging in that brain, in that adrenaline-soaked brain. And he may have come close. He may have reached his arm out and wanted to see it touching and grabbing and stopping the vehicle. He probably did. I don't know how close. I don't know how close you can get if you're running 4 to 6 miles an hour, perhaps. Maybe a little faster if you're in that good of shape. I don't know. But Darrell, you're not going to discredit this really good guy. Turd.
A lot happened.
Darrell's the turd.
At that moment, during that whole incident. It very well just could have been what I had thought. And it does go out of frame, so I can't exactly remember what happens once the video and myself goes out of frame.
Do you recall being at arm's length from the vehicle?
I cannot remember right now, no.
Trauma response, for sure.
At what point did you see the vehicle slow down?
As it went over WAUKESHA South Band.
And what did the vehicle do after that?
It sped up.
Thank you.
Do you recall describing the acceleration as rapid?
Yes.
Would you say that the video that we just saw depicts a rapid acceleration?
Yes.
There you go. That's what he calls rapid. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle. Next, turd.
Do you recall stating that it seems as if the driver of the vehicle was hitting the gas as hard as he could?
Yes.
And how would you be able to tell that?
the nature of a vehicle going over people, you would think that the gas pedal would not be pushed as you're going over people. And as the car continued, the red SUV continued over, went over the Waukesha South band and continued to accelerate, I could only imagine that the gas pedal was being pushed very hard after just going over people.
So you were making an assumption. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, so he's speculating.
I wouldn't
yes.
say it was an assumption.
He was speculating what
Just from driving a vehicle, knowing what happens when you go over
Yes, he was.
a large object, it typically slows the car down. And in order to speed it back up, the only thing that you can do is hit the gas pedal.
That didn't help you.
Did you hit the gas pedal, or would you hit the gas pedal as hard as you could?
From what I remembered, it looked like the gas pedal was being hit hard. The vehicle accelerated very quickly.
Would it be fair to say that you would have to be present in the vehicle to tell if the gas pedal was pushed hard, extremely hard, as you say?
No.
Or as hard as you could?
No.
You would be able to tell that from an outside observation?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, turd monkey. He's disagreeing with you. Troll under the bridge. Oh my god. You cannot change this guy's semantics, Darrell. You're not gonna do it. You're not winning. You're not winning. Which just tickles my soul if I had one. We get asked
Did you
next,
observe
stupid.
the route of the vehicle after, well, the video shows you kind of go off the screen, and did you observe where the vehicle went at that point?
Yes.
Did it continue straight, or did it turn?
Continue down the parade route.
Thank you.
Do you recall about how far?
No.
We already know you went the whole way. Stupid.
Do you recall seeing any brake lights?
No.
That didn't help you, Darrell.
Even when it briefly slowed down?
That would be correct.
So would it be fair to say that in order to slow a vehicle down, you have to brake?
No, no, no. You can simply take your foot off or lessen the pressure of the accelerator, and some cars will actually slow down, especially older cars or cars that have a lot of miles on them that don't actually, have the giddy up they used to have. No, Darrell, you don't have to slam on the brakes.
Not necessarily.
Thank you. Thank you, Kyle, for
what is the-
agreeing with me.
Necessarily.
Hitting something or going over something naturally will slow the vehicle down.
There you go.
So how far would you estimate that the vehicle was traveling before it slowed down?
I can't remember that.
I remember the first time I rode my motorcycle over graded, how they resurface roads, and for a few days they're graded, and they have those little ridges that go really in the line of the traffic. By the way, doing that on a motorcycle is very unpleasant. It is not pleasant. Okay, it makes it doesn't ruin your ride, but it makes that portion of your ride extremely unpleasant. Kind of like rain. You can ride in the rain. It's not really necessarily more dangerous to ride in the rain, other than people are not looking for you even more. But it's kind of like driving in your car in the rain on the hood of your car. It would be unpleasant to just sit there in the rain. So anyway, as I'm riding for the first time on these ridges, and I had just gotten the motorcycle, it kind of goes like this, down the road. So you're in control, but you're not, because there's a little waver. And the more you go over those bumps, kind of, the less you're throttling up, which is the wrong thing to do, by the way. You should keep your speed and maintain at least your speed. It slows down. So by the time I went over 2 miles of these, it felt like 100. I was going probably 10 miles slower than I was at the start. So going over bumps and not throttling up or accelerating slows your vehicle. You stupid jerk. Ugh.
Can you pull up the Exhibit 25 again?
He looks at the judge as if she's doing it. I don't know, maybe he's looking at somebody else.
Go ahead. Do you want it to the jury or just to the witness?
To everybody.
Okay. There you go.
Is the sound up?
He wants the sound of everyone screaming.
Can you play it from about 30 seconds? Yeah, that's about right.
Counter reads 29 seconds at this point, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Well, roughly around that area. Pause right there.
He screams it.
From your perspective, is the sound that you just heard, could that have been a horn?
No. That was definitely the band.
Are you able to answer just based on what you heard?
No.
I didn't know what he was going to ask, but having been in bands, drum corps, things like that for years when I was young, that's definitely a horn line. That is a band. Not all the horns are playing the exact same. They're just getting into their groove. So, it's not a horn. It's not a horn.
You did state that you didn't hear any horn, correct?
Correct.
It would be fair to say that it was pretty loud at that point in the parade, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think the noise would have impaired your hearing in any way at that point in time?
No, it's not an explosion, Darrell.
So it would be fair to say that you would have been able to hear anything coming towards your area where you were sitting, or anything that was coming towards your area from the band, from the parade, rather.
I don't understand your question.
Would you have heard,
Reasonable.
if there was anything unusually loud or just loud enough, would you have heard it from where you were seated at?
I don't know how to answer that.
Is it possible that a horn could have been beat that you didn't hear?
No, horns are pretty loud. It would have been heard.
Even over all the noise of the parade and the band and the people and you would have been able to clearly hear?
Yes.
He thinks he can. So what are you trying to get to, Darrell? Point? Not. The gray hairs are multiplying here, Darrell. Gray hairs are multiplying.
Do you recall what you saw the driver doing at the time that it passed the area that you were seated at?
Driving the car.
Did you observe any other actions by the driver?
No. Just focused on the road that was ahead of him.
And there's nothing about the description that stood out to you or caught your eye that maybe you could recall?
No.
In regards to what?
The description of the driver.
No.
I could tell there was one person in the car. I could see it. They were wearing some sort of hat or sweatshirt. That was about it.
after the vehicle passed where you were seated at, and about how long did you stay at the parade after what you saw?
He's already asked that stupid question. That would be the only thing that helps Darrell. That should have really been his only question. Can you identify the driver? And the answer would be no. All this other stuff, I don't know about you, but if I were sitting on the jury, I think this doesn't do anything for the defense. This just helps the prosecution. You know, describing driving over. Even the prosecution didn't, you know, go into that in disgusting detail. But why did the vehicle slow down while it was going over a bump that, you know, probably weighed 100 some odd pounds, including the musical instrument? I mean, Darrell, the only reasonable question that he's asked so far is, could he specifically identify the driver? And the answer is no. Should have been the only question. In my eyes. In my eyes.
I wouldn't be able to remember that.
Did you attempt to help anyone injured or check for your family here?
At that point, when I started running back, there were a lot of bodies on the ground, and from the looks of it, there was already people helping them. So my next reaction was get back to my family.
So with all the people that appeared to be injured, you didn't stop to render any aid to any one of them?
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question, please.
Was there anything else about the vehicle that stuck out to you?
No.
Did you see any news reports about the incident once you got your family home?
I did not.
Did you hear about it in the days after? Did you hear about anything related to the event in the days after? Well, leading up to your November 24th interview with Detective Carpenter?
I'm sure I had saw general things. We really did not watch the TV too much. There was just a lot of emotional stuff that we were just working through.
So it'd be fair to say you purposely didn't watch news reports
Yes.
that were related to the incident?
That's healthy.
We don't really watch news to begin with, but this just kind of made that a little bit more.
That's very healthy. I appreciate him for that. I actually, fun fact, don't even own a TV. I only have, even when this trial was actually going on and I caught wind of it, my only access to news is really online information. And I got into it, I'm not going to lie, and I do get into stuff and I watch documentaries and I do Audible and I listen to things, but I don't have a TV at all in my house. Like, not in any room whatsoever is there a television. And for almost a decade, I guess, I've not had any kind of cable. The only streaming service I have is YouTube Premium itself, and not the channels. I only have so that I don't have ads in my videos, because that just annoys. That's just annoying. But I appreciate that he knew this was traumatic for himself and his family, that they didn't seek out the news stories. So, nice try, Darrell, but you should have known the answers to these questions.
That we didn't turn the TV on, so we did not watch much news.
Good for you.
So at any time, did you see any mug shot or any type of pictures
He
related
just said
to
no!
the suspected driver?
I did not know.
At any time, do you recall hearing the name of the alleged defendant or suspect?
Alleged, you are not alleged. You are a
At
defendant.
some point in time, yes, I did hear the name.
Was that really quickly after the incident, or had it been some time that passed before you.
What difference does that make?
There was a little bit of time that had passed before I heard it.
And you yourself didn't file a claim in this matter, did you?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Thank you.
If you can be a little more specific, if you mean a claim related to any, related to the parade.
Did you make a claim of being an injured party, or did anybody in your family make a claim of being an injured party?
No.
But make no mistake, Darrell, you absolute monster, he and his family are victims. They saw your wretched behavior. They saw the aftermath of what you did. And it has forever changed that person, that man, right there. Make no mistake.
You made reference to seeing the Exhibit 25 video before your testimony today, correct?
Could you say that again?
You made reference earlier that you had saw the video that was shown before you testified today, correct?
Yes.
About how many times have you saw the video before today?
Have you seen?
Once.
No, he didn't need to. This
So
guy
today
doesn't
was your
need it.
second time seeing the same video.
Correct.
Is there anything that brought back or help you recall anything that you may have missed when you did your initial report? Seeing the video for a second time?
No.
Could you ask that once more?
Seeing the video just now for the second time, did it bring back any memory that you may have not reported before, or did it bring back something that you may have missed, overlooked?
That's actually not a bad question, though extremely clumsily worded. What he's saying, I think, is did you glean anything from watching the video, either the first time or today, that you didn't know from the event itself? So trying to isolate when certain details came out in his story. I'm not sure how you would gracefully ask that. Probably an attorney would be able to do it, but not me. And certainly not Dum Dum Darrell.
Not that I know of or remember, no.
Were you aware that you might be called to testify in this matter?
Yes.
So it'd be fair to say that you were anticipating being a witness?
No.
Whom were you contacted by about being a witness in this matter?
I wouldn't know the WAUKESHA district attorney.
Let the record reflect that the witness made a hand gesture towards the prosecution table.
Yes.
Let the record reflect.
Thank you.
He reflects. God, he wants to be included so badly. So
So
badly.
it would be fair to say that you were contacted about testifying in this matter directly from the WAUKESHA district attorney's office?
Yes.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this matter? Your
Objection, irrelevant.
grounds?
Not relevant, sustained. Next question.
Are you aware of any injured party or plaintiff in this matter?
I am not.
You are not?
That's correct.
I appreciate his answer, but basically, a witness doesn't really have to understand the workings of the law and the courts and things like that. All they're really required to do is go there and answer the questions. As a first responder, as somebody who worked for fire departments in the past, I was trained to do that as part of my job. I knew that that would be part of my job. So they give you a little bit of etiquette, but I didn't understand the difference between circuit and district. I didn't understand. I mean, even my son knows more than I do about things like that. And I don't think as lay people we're required to know that. I mean, you should, but little details like that, I mean, I would have to go back and read, and I understand, but I don't always retain it. It's not something that is relevant in my daily life.
Have you read or seen it, any complaint besides your own in this matter?
You mean a statement, or you mean a criminal complaint?
A complaint, any complaint.
Object to vagueness and relevance.
Grounds.
Thank you.
Sustained.
Young grounds again, stupid.
I can try to rephrase it if you would like. I'm sustaining it as to the form of the question, sir.
Have you seen any other statements by any parties other than yourself in relation to this incident?
No.
Are you the only person present from your family that made a statement or a report?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds. His
Overruled.
family was there.
Overruled. He may answer if anyone else in his family provided a statement.
No, they did not.
You stated earlier that it was difficult. Well, you stated that you don't really watch the news to begin with, but the incident made it more difficult to do that, correct?
A little bit, yes.
Would that be said of your family as well?
Yes.
So there was some type of
You
impact
say.
In regards to what?
in regards to being present at the parade.
That's...
Yes.
Yes, Darrell, you traumatized his whole family. What, was that the point you were trying to make? Oh my God.
There was a
What an
huge
idiot.
emotional impact on our family.
Do you know of any reason why no one besides yourself?
Because of the impact.
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained.
Grounds.
Next question.
So as far as you know, you've never seen or interacted with the plaintiff in this matter.
Objection.
Grounds. Grounds.
Sustained. Under 90611, new topic, please. One not already covered.
Do you recall the motion of the vehicle
What do you
as
mean?
it passed where you were seated?
The motion. Forward
From
motion.
objection, he clarified at what location he was referring to.
Thank you.
In regards to what motion?
How the vehicle was moving, driving?
Where I was sitting, it would have been my left side, and the car was approaching from my left side, driving. I don't know north,
Forward.
south, east, all that stuff, but right as should be on my left, proceeded to go through on my right down Main Street.
Forward. Forward, Darrell. Ugh.
From where you were seated, were you seated to where there were people in front, standing in front of where you were seated?
Yes, my family.
Anybody else besides your family?
Nope, just my family.
It would be fair to say from the video that there were quite a few people standing in the general area where you were seated at. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, most of the people in front of me were kids, so they were littler than me.
Maybe he didn't see a vehicle drive over the band? What's your question? Ugh.
Did you
This is
observe
terrible
any
setup.
one of those kids being struck?
Oh my god. That is even worse than what I thought.
So it'd be fair to say that the
Worse.
vehicle did not strike anybody that was seated on the curb right there where you were at.
Specifically right where I was at, no.
In your opinion, after observing people struck, in your opinion, how did the vehicle miss the people that were seated directly in front of you?
Objection beyond the
Grounds.
Maybe because the vehicle wasn't 8 feet wide? I don't know, Darrell. If you had a tank, you could have hit more people. I mean, what? Again, he asks these questions that don't at all even set up to help his own defense. Occasionally he brushes up against a topic that might, but he doesn't follow through with it at all.
Grounds.
Oh, God.
Grounds.
Mr. Brooks, let her state her objection without interruption. The objection is sustained. Next question.
He's so stupid.
So would it be fair to say that the only people you observed being struck was the WAUKESHA South Band?
How does that help you?
Yes.
So it doesn't, okay, that's okay. Let him go home. Case closed. The only people he saw were the, 10 to a dozen in that poor little high school band. Oh my God, Darrell. Oh my God.
Approximately how many people would you say by estimate?
Right now I can't remember. It would be a handful.
Would it be fair to say that there were hundreds, even thousands of people present for the parade?
Yes.
And you have only observed a handful of people struck?
WAUKESHA South band is a pretty large band. And the red SUV went right through it. If I had to estimate 10, maybe 15, I wouldn't know the exact number that were struck by the SUV.
Would it be fair to say that that number is fairly low to all the people that was in the area at the time?
Point? Look at his liar lines. Ugh. God, I wish I knew how to make this. Because you didn't hit everybody at the parade, you should, what? Get a cookie? What?
Argumentative, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Mr. Brooks, next question.
Would it, next question or rephrase?
Well, I sustained it. You can ask your next question.
Yes, that one was offensive as possible. I mean, how could you be more offensive?
Would you identify yourself as a
Victim?
injured party in this matter?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Would you identify as an injured party in this matter?
That's the same question.
Sustained. Asked and answered.
Ugh.
Mr. Brooks, under 90611, that was also not a question I would allow to be asked. Please move on.
I hurt for this guy. Having to look at this monster.
No further questions.
May I redirect?
Just very briefly, I'm going to ask the clerk to please turn the monitors back on, Exhibit 25. Mr. Brooks had previously asked this to be paused. It's paused at the 37-second mark.
And I do not recognize that name, nor do I consent to
Stop interrupting, you rude
Objection is noted.
monster.
Go ahead, Attorney Opper.
I'm going to ask Ms. Gussie to please continue playing it starting at the 37-second mark. And then I'm going to ask you to pause it.
What is the relevancy of it being played from the 37-second mark?
She's gonna get to it.
Your objection's noted. It's overruled. Was that with or without sound?
With sound is fine. Yes, please, sound.
Go ahead.
Pause. We're stopped at the 42-second mark. Mr. Jewell, at this point, would you say the SUV is very close to you and your family?
Yes.
At this point, did you hear the SUV honking its horn in any manner?
No.
Would you say the SUV is very close to the vehicle in the middle of the road containing the Waukesha South mascot?
Yes.
Would you also say it's very close to the two people standing in the street, one wearing a Santa hat and the other, I think, is dressed like a lion or some type of character?
Yes.
Did you hear the horn honking at this location, sir?
No.
The band has already passed you to your right down the street, correct?
Yes.
Was there any music being played from the Remax vehicle that you recall?
Not that I remember, no.
Just the hot air balloon?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions, and I'm stopping it at the 42-second mark, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sir, you may step down.
Could Mr. Jewell please be excused, Your Honor?
He may.
I'm not even sure she had to make that point. She made it very well and very, very clear that there was no horn sounding. I don't know why that's a thing if you're running over people. Once you've run over them, you should stop. I don't know if anybody's ever accidentally hit something with their car that had a person involved with it. I did in my 20s, and it is traumatizing. Now, they came out from between two parked cars in a not an area where you would expect people, and I wasn't going fast, thank heavens, and nobody was hurt, thank goodness. But it was like my life flashed before my own eyes. I still get like a sick feeling. So, oh my God. All right, let's take a break from Darrell's stupidity. Let me see if they're gonna go in much further.
We do need a brief discussion outside the presence of the jury before our next witness, Your Honor.
Okay, very well.
Let's go for that.
Excuse the jury. I'll rise for the jury. Thank you. Please be seated.
You look super pale in that picture. Maybe it's the lighting, but
All right, go ahead, Attorney Opper.
Actually, I'll cover this, Judge.
Very well, go ahead.
The next witness is Thomas Green. This is the witness that we previously raised the issue about having one prior criminal conviction. It's from 2005. A CCAP printout was provided to the defendant for the misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. The offense date is from 17 years ago. The witness was 21 years old at that time. He's now 38, has no other intervening criminal convictions, was not originally a crime of deception. I believe that it's not relevant for purposes of impeachment. I'd ask the court to exclude that conviction from this witness's testimony.
Mr. Brooks, do you have a legal argument on that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
The main thing is
Speaks like a
this
cartoon.
issue wasn't really discussed to this length until it was time for this witness to be called to the stand.
So,
Well, that's when I said I would take it up, is prior to that witness's testimony. I even gave you the statute that is at issue, and it's 906.09, impeachment by evidence of conviction of crime or adjudication of delinquency.
Here's
Pull
why.
the statute book out, and it's in there. If you want to review it quickly, I'll give you an opportunity, but I do need to address this,
okay.
and now is the proper time.
6.
6.09.
Darrell. You didn't do any homework on this either, even though they told you. And gave you the books.
There's a general rule in sub 1 and the exclusions under sub 2, and the factors for the court to consider in evaluating whether to admit evidence of a prior conviction for the purpose of attacking a witness's truthful character. Before I have you address it, let me ask the state this. How long do you anticipate your direct examination to be?
10 minutes.
All right. So someone we could and should be able to get through fairly.
Okay, so while Darrell reads his homework, that they so generously are pointing out to him directly so that he doesn't have to search this stuff up himself. Basically what I'm hearing is that they have a witness that could be impeached because he has a conviction. Impeached meaning, I guess, that it would be uncredible. It would be not credible information coming from this person because they have committed a crime. Number one, the crime was not a crime of deception. In other words, he didn't steal anything. He didn't, there was no deception to the court. He didn't try to get away from anything. I guess that's what that means. Number two, it was 17 years ago. Number three, he's not committed a crime or been convicted of a crime since for 17 years. And so they just want to say what happened 17 years ago when he trespassed somewhere and was convicted for that or pled guilty to that or whatever shouldn't be held against him for his testimony today. So let's see what the career criminal has to say about this. If he
both for direct and cross.
Okay.
Right, go ahead, Mr. Brooks. What's your argument?
I'm still. I wanted to make sure I heard what you said, so I stopped reading briefly.
Come on, Darrell. He reads like this. Like a typewriter in the old days. Like a typewriter.
I guess I would, from what I've read so far, I would go to 906.09 sub 2. It it would be kind of problematic. And I'll say that because if I was going to take the stand, my record would be brought up. And some things on my record was done 20-something years ago. But it would still have bearing. So I believe that it should be fair. It should be the same.
It should be the same. You know what?
I believe that if
okay, so put him up on the stand and tell the jury that the only thing this guy did was break in somewhere, trespass somewhere 17 years ago.
there was a possibility that they would give testimony. And
17 years ago.
Testimony, then they also agreed that their credibility can be questioned.
They're not on trial, Darrell.
That's really a fundamental thing to be able to cross-examine on my part would be to...
I guess I understand why this is still something to consider, because if they were a humongous liar... But remember, did anybody watch The Wire, where they put that one guy on the stand that used to rob the drug dealers, and he gets on the stand and he's got a tie with his t-shirt, which I just totally respect, and he says, my career is I robs the drug dealers. You know, that's what I do. Actually gave him a lot of credibility. You know, if you put somebody on the stand who trespassed 17 years ago and has never had a conviction since, I wonder if that should just be wiped from the record anyway.
See if they're credible, to see that they would honor their oath that they give in the court to be truthful. And part of being able to ask them questions like this pertaining to a criminal conviction would be relevant.
You do understand the inquiry is limited to the following. Have you been convicted of a crime? If the answer I allow is yes, they would say yes. The follow-up would be, if so, how many times? And in this case, my understanding is there's just one. Don't get into the specifics of it. That's not proper questioning for impeachment. Do you understand that?
I follow.
All right, let me hear from the state in response.
Fine.
So again, looking at the factors under 90609 sub 2, just about every factor weighs in favor of not informing the jury of this conviction. We've got conviction date of April 4th of 2006. So we've got, again, well over a decade before the conviction. We've got whether this witness was rehabilitated or pardoned. According to the CCAP records, there was a probation sentence and probation was discharged, so there's no indication that this witness was ever revoked from probation, and there's no re-offending evidence or any new cases or any new convictions. So that, again, that factor weighs in favor of not including this. Gravity of the crime, this is entry into a locked building or construction site, contrary to 943.15 sub 1. So it's a misdemeanor offense. So that weighs in favor of not including it. It does not, on its face, involve any dishonesty or false statements by the witness. Frequency of the conviction, again, it's just the one. And in terms of any other relevant factors, as an offer of proof, I'll inform the court that this witness is going to testify about his and his family's presence near the Martha Merrill's bookstore on the day of the parade, the positioning of his children, and what he remembers in terms of the SUV driving along the parade route and clipping his two children who were seated on the curb watching the parade. Two videos of the driving conduct in question. They are not they're not as clear as some of the videos we showed with the band. In fact, one of them is the video we showed with the band, and you can see spectators sitting on the side of the road. But in terms of impeaching the witness, I think Mr. Brooks should be fine just relying on the videos in asking the witness about that.
Entering into anything with is deceptive in nature. Just right off the bat, that's deceptive in nature. Why would you?
You can't retry the crime that the other person committed 17 years ago. That was resolved by the court. When the crime is resolved by either plea or guilty verdict or pleading guilty to the full crime itself, it is resolved. It's resolved. We run into this again, but Darrell's on the other side of it. You can't take something that's resolved and re-resolve it and say now it's deceptive. Trespassing is not considered deceptive. I guess that's a legal term. I don't understand why. I just accept it. It's fine with me. It's not deceptive.
Enter into something that you're obviously not supposed to be into.
You mean like you as an SO entering into schoolyards or near schoolyards to do your stupid videos? Would that be deceptive?
Entered into something because you were
Darrell,
not supposed to be in there.
You're tickling me again,
That's
Darrell.
deceptive in nature. It's also not enough information that would suggest that the probation wasn't discharged by revocation. It's not clear.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And also, the prosecution just stated on record that they will only need about 10 minutes of testimony from this witness, but now they're talking about videos. That seems like it's going to be a little bit more than 10 minutes. I feel that I should be able to at least question the credibility of this witness at the very minimum.
Well, you would be able to question the credibility just through cross-examination, but let me get to the heart of this issue. And the general rule is as follows. For the purpose of attacking character for truthfulness, a witness may be asked whether the witness has ever been convicted of a crime or adjudicated delinquent, and the number of such convictions or adjudications. If the witness's answers are consistent with the previous determination of the court under sub 3, then no further inquiry may be made unless it is for the purpose of rehabilitating the witness's character for truthfulness. The sub 2 then of this statute talks about exclusion. It says evidence of a conviction of a crime or an adjudication of delinquency may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Factors for a court to consider in evaluating whether to admit evidence of prior convictions for the purpose of attacking a witness's truthful character include the lapse of time since the conviction, the rehabilitation or pardon of the person convicted, the gravity of the crime, the involvement of dishonesty or false statement in the crime, the frequency of the convictions, and any other relevant factors. So as I consider all of that, I would include in the any other relevant factors that this is a witness that has been brought to testify by the state against the accused. This conviction is for a misdemeanor offense of criminal. Can I have the exact? I wrote down criminal trespass, but I just want to make sure I have it accurate.
Yes, the statute in question is 943.15 sub 1. And it's listed on CCAP as an entry into/onto building/construction site/room.
All right, so a version of criminal trespass. All right. Apparently,
This guy probably went to go take a leak somewhere on a construction site and got caught. Ugh.
the particular witness, this was 17 plus years ago, The witness was 21 years of age, was sentenced to probation. Nothing on the record before this court suggests that probation was revoked. I'm not aware of any reoffending, meaning that's the only conviction for this witness. This is a witness in this case who will apparently testify about where he was seated with his family in relation to the driving of the red SUV through the parade in front of Martha Merrill Bookstore. So clearly relevant to the case and the charges at hand. When looking at whether evidence of a conviction of a crime may be excluded, and specifically in this case, if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. I think sometimes we skip over that part of the statute, which is the standard this court must look at, not just the factors, but whether in light of those factors, is the probative value substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. As I commented on earlier, the nature of the inquiry is very limited. It's, have you been convicted of a crime? Yes or no? And then how many times? And in that case, it would be, in this case, it would be 1. In light of that, and the other factor that I noted, even though there's some factors that I could say would warrant exclusion, I think it's best to err on the side of caution, as we sometimes say, and allow the witness to be questioned about this prior conviction under the statute, and that is the very limited inquiry of...
So in other words, Darrell technically wins on this. He's going to be able to ask the question, was he convicted of a crime and how many? Not when, not what crimes, not going into it, not the deception, not any part of the statute itself other than those 2 questions. If I were in the jury, you would practically have to bring up, like, the worst person. I don't know. There's nobody worse than Darrell. There's nobody worse than Darrell.
Have you been convicted of a crime? The answer should be yes, and then how many times? 1. And that's it. Mr. Brooks, you may ask a single follow-up on that is it true you've been convicted of 1 crime? But we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. That's going to be my caveat to all of this. You cannot ask repeated questions of this witness about that. The jury will further get instructed later on about the purpose of a prior conviction, that it bears solely on credibility, and then ultimately it's up to the jury to determine whether or what to believe. So that's my ruling on this. Now with that, it's now 4:15. Would you like the witness to testify today?
Yes.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Brooks?
No, I was just going to say, what if I just wanted to, what if I didn't really want to go into it? What if I just wanted one question just to say, have you ever been convicted of a crime, and just left it at that?
That's fine. I'm sure the state's going to ask the questions first, though. That's typically how this goes.
Okay. Wow, I'm glad we got that hearing out of the way, because that was actually a little bit painful, but I'm going to leave it at that for today. We're going to I'll probably do that a little later on today if I need a little decompression time, but we'll see this big hardened criminal's testimony next time. Ooh, cliffhanger. Thank you for joining. Like, subscribe, and share if you wish. Please comment. I love reading the comments. A lot of times just either you're agreeing, you're disagreeing with other really great points, or you're just bringing up comments that I didn't even think of, which I love. I want to get through this for my own clearing of the mind. Maybe at some point I will show the video, which still exists, of my issue, and I'll go through that if I can pull myself together enough. But I think this actually helps. Great day to everyone, and this is Patty Jo. I'll see you next time.